dedicating ourselves to playing a purely rat-based experience. Generally, you produce more than you have access
what?
to.
This is not a rat. That's like a rat from Dark Souls.
For all the abilities they receive. These range from game-changing to I'm going to play the bagpipes. Currently, there's 4 races to play. So far gone.
Seth is pretty much a QA tester for this game. He's like limit testing everything. He's like balance testing as well. This is sick. Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy Frame1 back with another reaction for you guys. And in today's video, we are going to be checking out Songs of Conquest Review, Working TM as TM, Intended TM, Edition TM by our boy SsethTzeentach. Now, before we actually get into this reaction, a handful of you in the comments have been reaching out to me asking where I've been, making sure I'm alive. So I figured I'd give you guys an update on what I've been up to for the past month or so. I don't want to bore you guys with my personal life and shit outside of YouTube, so I'll keep this really quick. And for everyone else who doesn't give a shit, I'll put a timestamp in the description so you guys can just skip right to the reaction. First of all, thank you to those who did reach out to me, checking in on me in the comments. It's really touching that you guys would even do that, so I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Now, what I've been up to / where I've been, and honestly, guys, I have been gaming. Like hard. The month of June, the month before my little hiatus, was extremely busy for me between work, my personal life, like for some reason, so many fucking birthdays in June, you know, and a bunch of events I had to attend. So in the little free time that I did have, I would spend it pretty much all on content for you guys, you know, just like reacting, editing, all of that, responding to comments. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't really get a lot of downtime for myself. And last month, I may have unintentionally gotten myself addicted to Valorant. And for those of you who know how the ranking system works in that game, I essentially grinded from Gold 1 to Ascendant 2 in a little under a month, or like a month and a half. And obviously that is not exactly a healthy way to balance your life, and unfortunately that also took me away from making content for you guys. But we are back today. I'm feeling motivated to crank out some vids for you guys, so here we are. And what better video to start with than our boy Seth's latest video that he released a few days ago, I believe, called Songs of Conquest Review, as we said at the start of this. And who knows what the hell this game is going to be about. I imagine it's going to be some old and obscure indie game that one developer has been keeping afloat for the past like 17 years. As usual with a lot of Seth's reviews. One more thing before we start as well, thank you again to everybody who's been leaving comments, recommending videos that you guys want me to check out. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And what up to all the new subs, man? We gained like 100 subs since I've been gone. We hit 500, which is crazy. So shout outs to all of you guys, shout outs to everybody who's continuously supporting the channel. Yeah, with all that being said, guys, let's just jump right into this video. Going into this expecting quality as usual, because that's what Seth does. Seth's got S-tier storytelling, as I always say. Okay, here we go.
Hey people, Seth here.
Yo, what up, Seth?
For the delays. I've been busy bone mashing for the past few weeks. Look it up.
Me too.
Really don't
Playing
think I
Valorant.
need to explain myself, or why gently hammering my chin and cheeks will eventually mold my natural skull to that of a Cro-Magnon grug. Listen,
what is this?
I've been listening to Alpha Podcast.
This is not a real thing, right? Like bone mashing? Hold on a second. Stress results in growth. Bone smashing is basically the practice of pounding specific portions of the face with a flat and hard instrument, such as the chin and cheekbones, in order to achieve bone growth and a more prominent seeming facial features, primarily the cheekbones. There's no way this is legit, right? Bone smashing does work in theory, but smashing your face with a hard tool for 5 minutes a day isn't gonna induce much growth at all. This is fucking crazy, yo. No way.
And according to men talking to other men, women. I've been listening to Alpha Podcasts, and according to men talking to other men, women
Alpha
desire
Podcasts.
nothing more than a man that looks like Australopithecus. But
A what?
between my transformation of mind and
Yo, what is with all of these alpha podcasts popping up, or all these alpha male gurus, like nowadays? I feel like there's so many of them. I'm seeing these clips come out of them saying like ridiculously heinous, like misogynistic shit. And it seems like this is like new, or if they were around, they definitely did not have as big of followings as they do today. And I wonder what the reason is behind that. I wonder why so many guys are choosing to listen to some of these alpha gurus who they don't know shit about shit, right? So it's crazy.
body. I've been playing something real good.
Okay.
Songs of Conquest is a turn-based hom-like, a genre which
What?
currently has
Hum?
4 games in it, and that's including Heroes 6 and 7. Songs of Conquest is a spiritual successor to Heroes of Might and Magic, and
never
it's
played
a damn
it.
good one, which means I am spiritually contracted by the laws of a greater universe, by the creator sons who built this plane of Eurasia to see this game financially prosper. Remember, in this life I am nothing but the mouthpiece of Moloch. I'm just here to tell you what to consume.
What is he saying?
Like I like my...
What is he saying, man? Mbeke Klomo Moloch. What?
To tell you what to consume. I like my games like I like my women. A famous YouTuber once told me while driving past the local kindergarten. Early access. This is not a joke, it's a cry for help. Ever since the gold play button arrived, I've realized I'm in a den of predators, and there's a hierarchy. Every blood moon we have to offer the vitae of a child to Mr. Beast. If you refuse to comply, UMG will copy strike all your videos. And I really need that AdSense money. Songs of Conquest is early access. Technically, it's completely functional and has more than enough content to justify the price
Is this a
tag,
new
which
game?
is ironic because
Songs
I didn't pay for it.
It's still in alpha. Obviously, it's not an old game. I mean, unless it's one of those games that's been out for 10 years and is still in alpha. Those definitely exist, but it looks cool.
Gameplay, because I've played so much Heroes, I do
looks very stylized
talk about this game in comparison to Heroes of Might and Magic. Ooh. So, what's in common? It's a turn-based fantasy strategy where each player owns a number of heroes with a limited number of moves per turn. They can be used to fight monsters, take resources, and upgrade towns to fill their ranks with more powerful units. The objective is to defeat every other player. Differences.
That's pretty cool. So it seems to me that the home genre, as Seth said, is very similar to like the Warcraft 3 type of RTS where you have heroes as well. But I guess the difference is you're only using the heroes, which is pretty cool. And you have multiple. That seems pretty sweet.
There's no overland spells, thank God, because I'm tired of living in a world with town portals and dimension doors where a single man can simultaneously defend every town on the map, yet lives in perpetual fear of a dungeon player who, depending on RNG, has both a movement points and mana to dimension door across the entire map and take every single town you own in a single turn.
I see, because they get multiple actions per move. If they have enough resources of a certain type, I guess they're able to manipulate the teleports and get around the whole map. I see why that'd be annoying.
This entertaining, engaging, dopaminergic, and to the person who inflicted this upon me after a 4-hour game, I wish you a very pleasant retrograde ejaculation. Instead of heroes, they're called welders.
I don't even know what that means.
Are attuned to essence, the magic of this world. Every unit generates a unique type and quantity of essence when their turn begins, adding to the welder's total. You have one spell book containing every spell. That might sound underwhelming until you realize I never said anything about casting one spell, because you can cast every spell multiple times and they stack. How many spells can you cast in a single turn? Infinite. Your only limitation is imagination and, of course, the amount of essence you possess. Combat is effectively a chessboard, except my queen gets 10 consecutive moves because I collected 21 yellows and purples. Towns are no longer a single screen. They're actual towns surrounded by external buildings. These are modular. You can build whatever you want.
That's really sick.
For it. Unlike Heroes, where units are produced in bulk at the start of each week, here you produce a constant supply every day.
Oh, that's really cool. Oh, and I guess it is slightly different than the like the Warcraft games because it's turn-based and it's not real time.
It takes a bit of getting used to, but the logic is you get to see an immediate return on your investment immediately, as opposed to 7 days. And because build sites are modular, there's nothing stopping us from building 6 rat warrens at the same time.
I was gonna ask about that. I was gonna ask if you could just spam or mass one type of building. And do weird strategies. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. This game actually seems pretty cool. I'm gonna be honest.
Dedicating ourselves to playing a purely rat-based experience. Generally, you produce more than you have access
what?
to.
This is not a rat. That's like a rat from fucking Dark Souls.
Purely rat-based experience. Generally, you produce more than you have actual money to buy. Economy is important, and we must increase our GDP. For this reason, half the towns I conquer, out of necessity, will become plantations. Yes, it's a fantasy military campaign. And you know what? it still runs on corn. Also, I have found that all the resources I ever need cannot be found. So I have to build markets, and then I have to build more markets to offset the horrible exchange rate, because I cannot afford to buy lean rock at such prices. Conquering the town of another faction gives you several options. Raze it to the ground and rebuild as your own, convert the town, which replaces each building with your respective faction equivalent, or occupy the town, which means you keep it intact, you can't do anything with it, but for every turn it's occupied, you generate an obscene amount of money.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You haven't figured it out.
I was gonna say, why would you do
races. Sorry, that doesn't sound very good. You can't mix different factions in this game. Some might be upset about this, but there's a very simple explanation. Each of the 4 races generate very different types of essence. If you could mix and match, you would have access to the strongest spell combinations in the game, which by design are intentionally difficult to obtain. Combat is very similar to heroes. If you're not familiar, each unit is called a stack. The number represents how many identical units are inside that stack. For example,
interesting.
These are ducks. They are a stack of 7 ducks, but I can split them into 7 stacks of 1 duck. Does that make sense? Either way, I can't hear you, so I'm going to continue. Depending on the command ability of your welder, your army contains between 3 to 9 stacks. Unlike heroes, your stack has a maximum size depending on the unit. This is so you actually play the game, instead of playing Necropolis, which involves waiting inside your base until the numbers get so high they stop rendering. I'll never forget the tactical genius of telling all my units to wait, only for my Brazilian opponent to match my strategic prowess.
I don't know why this didn't I don't know why I didn't ask this before. This is actually an online multiplayer game. That's pretty sweet. For some reason, just based on how it looked, I just thought it was like a single player experience where you could do like different campaigns. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense why it'd be multiplayer.
Making all of his units wait, which put us right back to the beginning, as if nothing ever happened. Delaying your turn to bait out the enemy, thankfully, is no longer an option. Every unit now has a zone of control, meaning if you enter any of the surrounding hexagons, you can't leave or pass without provoking an attack of opportunity. Consequently,
I was going to say attack of opportunity
is guaranteed death for his ranged units. Conversely, ranged units benefit from high elevation. The higher you
everybody knows. You always go for the archers and mages first. It's just like everybody knows.
Your range and
one of those
harder
things.
It is for melee units to reach you. Compared to heroes, unit upgrades are very pricey. However, the upgraded form of every unit is about a 2-fold power difference, which doesn't account for all the abilities they receive. These range from game-changing to I'm going to play the bagpipes. Currently, there's 4 races to play. Arleon, Rana, Baria, and the Barony of Loth. Arleon is post-collapse Rome, a formerly dominant empire carved up by barons and feudal lords, trying desperately to hold on to the status quo. That is, if Rome allied itself with the entire furry community. Honestly, I kind of get it. Imagine you were an explorer, and you stumble upon this isolated village inside the Amazon, consisting entirely of Crystal the Fox, but there's no males. So you gotta do your part. You gotta turn those woodland creatures into woodland Twinkies, because if you don't, they won't survive. Baria is literally the Merchants Guild. They're a federation of technologically advanced merchant states who also engage in a little slavery, which is unfortunately where the comparison ends, because we've never owned slaves. I actually asked my relatives, and technically, what we had would be referred to as serfs. Rana represent the scalies, the frogs, and everything else that comes out of a swamp. Typically, if you have more than 4 limbs, you get to be part of Rana. Enslaved and abused for generations.
What is a serf? I'm so confused. Wait, hold on a sec. I need to Google this. Serf, S-E-R-F. An agricultural laborer bound under the feudal system to work on his lord's estate. Okay. Right. So a slave, got it.
Understandably, is to murder everyone. Finally, we've got the Barony of Loth, a breakaway faction of Arleon. The only difference? Necromancy.
I was going to say, Skelly Boys.
The good old days, by raising them from the dead. For reference, one of their basic units is a loyal soldier brought back from the dead. Their strongest is several soldiers buried close together, so when resurrected, they fuse together into a giant lump. And that's about it for gameplay. There's people to kill, treasure to loot, and cities to plunder. Pretty much the quintessential hero's experience. This game can be played both on and offline, single player and multi. It's not very clear, but you can actually hot seat
answers that question from before. before.
Play with 2 people on the same computer. All you have to do is tag yourself in for 2 slots when starting the map. There's currently no mechanic to hide the screen between turns, so I recommend putting a blanket over it before you press end turn. Still, there's no guarantee people won't try to peek, which is why I record the entire session on a USB camera. My house is a very fun place. Hey Seth, why is there a proximity sensor? Good question. Why is there movement at 3 in the morning? There's also a map editor, and it's very good. You can do a lot of complex
always does that shit, man. He'll just digress and go off on some random side tangent, and then as I'm trying to actually process what he just said, I end up missing stuff in the video, so I feel like I always have to go back.
Without having to understand the code behind it. Conversely, for the Heroes 5 video, I had to learn a scripting language just to make a 10-second joke. Finally, there's the single-player campaign, which leads us to the story. There's currently 2 campaigns, Arleon and Rana, each consisting of 4 different missions. Do not be fooled. These are deceptively long and take a while to finish. The Arleon campaign is a good introduction to the game.
It's cool that they're actually, you said they're not as short as it seems, because I was going to say that doesn't seem like a whole lot of single-player content at first glance.
It shows you the ropes and helps you understand the core concepts. However, your main character, Cecilia, is a unit-focused welder, so you won't get a super deep appreciation of the essence system until you've had more time to play around with it. She's not a spellcaster, so you won't get access to better spells unless you know exactly how to level up and tilt the skill priority. And for the record, I don't think most people playing right now even realize you can do that. So unless you know exactly what you're doing, which, spoiler, you don't, you're going to have a mixed experience. That's because you'll mostly have Order Essence, which is very buff-heavy, but it's not spectacular. And you don't have it leveled up, so you won't even get to see its full potential. It's a mild complaint, and you can fix it by playing the Rana campaign. At the end of each mission, you are rewarded with singing. I'll be honest, I skipped this in the beginning because I felt secondhand embarrassment, but eventually I grew to like it and just embraced the experience. I thought about it. The bards of yesterday are pretty much the SoundCloud rappers of today. So why did I produce such an automatic, visceral
why are bards SoundCloud rappers? I feel like that'd be more like a jester
response. Maybe the Zoomer population could relate a little more. Maybe if every mission was concluded
Justin Trudeau
with a short population could relate a little more.
That was
maybe
Christian
if
Bale, Justin
every
Trudeau.
mission was concluded with a short performance by the prodigious Lil Yachty. Maybe the eventual Barony of Loft campaign could feature lyrics by XXXTENTACION, which would be fitting.
Jesus, dude. Yo, holy shit. It's pretty heavy.
Because, you know,
I do know.
And he is similar. Right now, the game is always changing. There's patch notes almost every week, nerfing some kind of exploit, which was usually the core of my strategy. So I'm forced to make this review even faster to try and outpace the balance team. I'm obviously using a plural, but I know who you are. Carl. Listen, I'm just a young blood trying to make it in the projects. I'm raised on a staple diet of oatmeal and ironic webms of anime girls about to undress, where in the last second they pull a bait and switch on you, swapping to animated footage of African-American men reflecting shower water using their developed glutes. But you gotta keep a brother down when you capped Essence generation to 6 a unit. Why you gotta do this to me? He's doing this quicker than I can write the script. And no, I am not going to correct myself. I'm just gonna Photoshop over it and pretend it still works. Section 3.
That's so funny.
Do this to me.
That's so funny. So I guess the devs of this game changed something that Seth had mentioned earlier in the video. That's pretty funny.
The script. And no, I am not going to correct myself. I'm just going to Photoshop over it and pretend it still works. Section 3. Abusing the game. The following is an unsorted list of things I've discovered. Spells. Spells are interesting. Spells can be stacked for great effect. For example, knights have the ability to charge. For every tile they cross, they deal more damage. But if you cast Quicken and stack it repeatedly, they can run back and forth across the entire battle.
Yeah, that's fucking sick. What he's describing reminds me of a game that I played like 15 years ago on PlayStation 3 when it first came out. I don't think it was 15 years ago. It's probably like 10 years ago or something like that. But it was Magicka and Magicka 2. And it also actually happens in, what's the game? Divinity as well. Where if you cast, say, oil below some enemies and then you light it on fire, the oil actually catches flame and it does like more damage. I actually appreciate when games do that because it adds another layer of strategy, which is pretty cool to me.
battlefield several times over until finally they collide with the enemy. Pacify a monster. Do it twice. Whatever damage it used to do, it doesn't. And now can be safely beaten to death using string instruments. Charge Essence allows a necromancer to be safely beaten to death using string instruments.
Charge Up and Joe 35 Germa. The crystal I wear around my neck contains an essence that gets recharged when I jack it with the bro who also has a crystal. It gives me confidence at work, home, social situations, etc. Nobody knows it's a JO crystal but me and my bros. I have seen it glow white while zerking it with the Alright.
Charge Essence allows a necromancer to generate his essence twice per turn. Strengthen Essence allows any unit generating essence to generate even more. Casting Strengthen Essence twice on free necromancers gives you 36 balls worth of arcane and destruction.
So it might not necessarily have the mixing of elements like I mentioned before, but it does have that in some sense where you could still stack abilities, just not in the same way that I mentioned. Still cool though. Still really like that.
Has 2 arcane storms and 2 fireballs every turn. Or you can repel him 5 times. The displacement may be physical, but the damage is psychological. I found out repel also works on your units. This enables us to perform drive-bys.
That's sick.
Your units blood boil. Wait, what's this?
And you could make them into a bomb?
When injured, doing double damage?
No. Never mind.
Blind Hatred makes a unit randomly attack another. At max level, this happens 3 times in sequence. So we force a militia to attack a horned one.
This is sweet. I really like this combat system. You could really feel your characters and your troops and units getting a lot stronger, it seems like. That's actually sick.
One-shots the militia and everyone around it. You can cast this on your own units
It's always satisfying.
Charge a high legion into enemy ranks. By the way, legion attacks cleave through enemies into adjacent targets. Cast Blind Hatred. Watch as they peel everyone around them like a potato. And then continue your turn.
4 knights in 1.
That didn't count as an attack. If that ever sounds unfair, just remember, you can take 3 stacks of dragons, take 3 turns, and then cast Rejuvenate to get 6 turns, and then cast Mist on them, turning them invincible until the next turn. This doesn't affect you because they're faster than everyone else, which puts you in an infinite loop where you can attack the enemy and turn invincible. Turning them invincible until the next turn. This doesn't affect you because they're faster than everyone else, which puts you in an infinite loop where you can attack the enemy and turn invincible before he can ever respawn every single turn. When you have so many dragons, you're building tall. So I cast Justice, which kills 9 of a stack, regardless of what they are. Each time I cast that spell, you lose 30k, which makes you rather upset. So you patch it the next day. Whatever am I going to do? That's right. I'll just cast it again. Alternatively,
no way. Is this legit?
Which makes you
change spell to no spell power. Wait, the devs have patched this game twice now since he started creating this video, actively changing things that he's mentioned in the video. That's really funny.
You rather upset, so you patch it the next day. Whatever am I going to do?
Makes sense. It is an alpha, as you said at the start.
I'll just cast it again. Alternatively, take advantage of the essence system to build wide and fill every army slot with a 1-stack. Good idea, but you're not the first. There's a mechanic called momentum. Essentially, each time you kill a stack, everyone on your team does more damage, but they also take less damage. For this reason, losing several units in a row quickly spirals out of control and may cost you the entire fight. Ignore my advice. Continue to 1-stack. Have your opponent cast Apocalypse on...
Wait. Every time you kill a stack, everyone on your team... Oh, I see. So it counters the 1-stack strategy. Got it. Sorry.
Losing several units in a row quickly spirals out of control and may cost you the entire fight. Ignore my advice. Continue to 1-stack. Have your opponent cast Apocalypse on your ass. Realize in that moment, his welder has Essence Leech. Watch as your essence gets stolen, multiplied by 3, and used against you. There's more interesting ways to do it. Sacrifice 9 stacks of Blessed Bones to make 9 stacks of skeletons to generate 8.
This game is just like crafted for Seth, man. I feel like he's able to theory craft so many different strategies, and I think he loves to do that. Just based on his balloons video that we watched last time. This game is just like match made in heaven for Seth.
Units worth of essence. Then do it again to make 27. Paint the map. Don't stop until there's no more free space. When walking is no longer an option. When the concept of moving forward implies we can burn it quicker than it grows.
Wait, he's got a flamethrower?
Is a great spell. So great, in fact, that nobody could invade towns anymore. Melee units would desperately tunnel through the jungle, dying from 10 billion trillion arrows before they even got close.
Oh, that's
According
crazy.
To the patch notes, they fixed it. What does that mean?
Wait, lowered the number from what?
Even got close. According to the
at tier 3 from 3 to 2. So they spawn at a faster rate than you could actually get rid of them. That's fucking broken.
Patch notes, they fixed it. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Because I'm still doing it. In
Yeah,
this
okay.
game, the laws of physics are less of an obligation and more of a rough guideline. Swap is a very versatile spell. What's that? A tightly knit circle of spellcasters? Allow me to swap in my hyena with his mage.
Love that
leaving
move
his
in
forces
Divinity.
with no option but to kill themselves, because a hyena retaliates first and has infinite retaliation.
Jesus Christ.
Defending against the siege. Decide that I want my ballistas even closer. His
Gotta say, even though the resolution's obviously quite low, the actual artwork is pretty cool. I like the way that the units look in this game. It's nice. It's stylized very well.
Strongest unit is now at the top of my tower.
Like, those dragons
I
look
fence
dope.
him off into a little playpen. Bad smell gas, a leading cause of BRAP-related mortality. Swapping 2 units inside a cloud of gamer girl miasma makes them gag all over again, forever, until their nostrils bleed and their organs collapse out of mercy
Oh my
to
God.
escape this mustard hell. I know my imagery is evocative, but for the record, I'm not into this. I have a flowery imagination, and I'm an empath, which means even if I'm not a BRAP, I have walked
Oh my
that
God,
path,
what
and I have
is-
found it to be morally dubious. It's time to change
Jesus.
the topic. The most ridiculous swap I've ever done is with an artificer. Place a landmine directly in front of him, target an enemy on the same lane, and swap him out. The landmine is now directly behind the enemy. Cast repel, and watch them forcibly eat the landmine
God.
twice, because for some reason, repelling people into traps applies the damage twice. At this point, I am so far gone. I
Seth is pretty much a QA tester for this game. He's like limit testing everything. He's like he's balance testing as well. This is sick. Somebody in the comments, whoever's played this alpha, let me know how many of these things have been changed since Seth has made this video. I know this came out probably like 3 or 4 days at this point, but I'd be curious to know if they've actually changed any of these things already since then. Because obviously some of these things are quite, seem kind of broken.
don't even know where exploits begin
Well, I
and
mean-
mechanics end.
Obviously the double bomb explosion is not intentional.
And case in point, normally it takes a while to get your economy rolling and producing troops, but when you
Naturally.
recruit a welder, they spawn with some units already.
Oh.
Now, if you dismiss them, they disappear from the game, but they can be rehired with the same starting units. So, right from the start, we print a bunch of high-end units, steamroll through the early turns, and pay off
my
our investment.
God.
This is, objectively, the best way to play, as according to my subjective feelings. Then, I wonder to myself, could I abuse
It's
the
funny.
hire and dismiss mechanic even more? Of course I did. Why else would I write this? There's a very interesting skill in this game called Tutor. When 2 friendly welders interact, max level Tutor grants
Holy shit.
75% of a tutor's total experience to the other welder at no cost. When welders level up, they get offered skills. Depending on your choices, you get offered a different power at levels 8 and 16.
That's the thing with games like this. They are very hard to balance. When there are this many permutations as to how you could actually play out a round, I feel like it's going to be a while before this game is like completely balanced out.
Paired with a high-level tutor, I have
Dr.
used this to
Majarcha.
train 8 different welders in the blink of an eye. We avoid
Oh
skills
my
with
God.
combat and magic. We take only miscellaneous passive income. So when we hit level 8, we get access to Levy, which means at level 16, we get the upgrade. Rank 2 Levy is a power that grants you a global 60% increase in unit production. Multiplied by 8 welders and rounded up, that's 500% more dragon every turn. That's 6 dragons a day. It's actually insane. Alternatively, your opponent is running a counter to your build.
What?
So you build the counter to his counter, except in your case, it takes you 5 seconds to counter his entire game. Or you realize you can't win. A fair fight, that is. But who said we had to fight fair?
What was that?
Right,
Was that just
you
like the guy's Gyandra Stormspire? This is the guy's champion, I imagine, or his hero. Those are all of his stacks, right?
realize you can't win. A fair fight, that is. But who said we had to fight fair? We're going to win by losing, and they're going to lose by winning. We trade up a bunch of welders to get the first turn. We nuke the field, we kill units many times our value, and then we die. And then we do it again and again, until eventually they have no troops left with which to fight. At which point, I start to mock them.
I need to
fight, that is. But who said we had to fight fair?
I need to
We're
listen to
going
this
to
again.
win by losing, and they're going to lose by winning.
So he said he sacrifices his welders.
Train up a bunch of welders.
Oh, we train up. Okay.
To get the first turn.
We train up a bunch of welders, get the first turn.
We nuke the field, we kill units many times our value, and then we die.
Got it. So they're pretty much just like sacrificing themselves, some shitty like low-level units, nuking the whole field.
And then
Got it.
we do
got
it again and again until eventually they have no troops left with which to fight. At
my
which point
God.
I start to mock them. I call them gay and immediately apologize, unless they identify with that label. In which case, I send a little kiss,
My
you know, to
God.
establish dominance. I've told you a lot of abuse, but ultimately the strongest tactic in this game is just play Rana. All the Rana initiative upgrades,
Rana's
prepared
broken,
level
huh?
3 and eager level 2, results in the highest possible initiative in the entire game. There is no counterplay because you don't get to play, you just get to watch. As Sun Tzu famously said, when two men sword fight in the shower, the winner strikes first. At the end of the day, balance.
Yo, Seth's mind, man, is just fucking crazy creative. So imaginative.
You would expect some good music, and
Right.
you'd be correct. I think the music is generally fantastic, but the
Nice.
Arleon and Frog tracks have a particular nest in my heart. The amount of sprite work done for this game is absolutely insane. When
Yeah,
I
seriously.
realized they made a unique sprite for every welder, that there's 9 per faction, so they had to make 36 of them. I felt pretty
Wow.
humble. All the sprites and all the animations are beautiful. It's
Yeah,
generally
I
just
agree.
a beautiful game. In summary,
Totally agree. I totally agree. I think this game looks great.
the world is incredibly starved for games like Songs of Conquest, and I'm gonna shill it
Sick.
as hard as I can, or for as long as my attention span holds. I'm such a Gemini. Why? Because it represents a return to the 2000s, where products had long-term appeal and complexity, where some respect was given to the temporary, finite human experience which yearns for cognition and introspection.
Totally agree with Seth here. I think about this sometimes. Games back in the day were made by people who loved video games and wanted to make the game because it was a passion project. Like, it was out of passion, you know what I mean? It wasn't today's video game market where a lot of these big companies are making it for profit. They're not actually putting as much effort and time into the actual player's experience as much as they are thinking of ways that they can extract as much money as possible out of each and every player. That being said, there are still a ton of great games that come out today. I feel like the games today are just a lot more streamlined in their experiences, which is okay. It does make the games a lot more accessible though, and I think that does play a part as to why video games are just so popular today. It's super mainstream to see people playing video games nowadays, but when I was like really young, it definitely wasn't as popular. It almost was like taboo if you were a gamer, you know what I mean? Like, you were like a super nerd.
If you don't believe me, imagine releasing the ancient game of
Mahjong
Mahjong as a standalone product today. It would play for you automatically until you reach a perfect 50-50 win-loss ratio, regardless of your own skill. It would have gacha mechanics. They would be described as forgiving, reasonable, and I'm paid to write this article, where 10,000 pulls grants you a single pity pull, where you can take out a loan at the press of a button to buy more gacha. And that little twig you throw is a DLC sold separately. In conclusion, I forgot the point I was trying to make. Get your car and go buy a 40-pound
Man,
bag of
I remember I used to play a lot of Mahjong when I was a kid on my like old like family PC. It might have come in a cereal box. Like, I remember like Roller Coaster Tycoon did as well. That's besides the point.
of rice. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Songs of Conquest. I adore this game and highly recommend it. If you're interested, follow my link for 30% off on GOG for the next 10 days. I think. I'm not sure. Yo, editor, clip this out. That's a joke. I don't have an editor. This is probably the best discount and lowest price ever offered, so please
Is this
take
legit?
advantage of it. I'd like to say this is made possible because of my inflated ego.
Is that legit? That's pretty sick.
A
if it is.
mechanism of overcompensation for my
I'll buy it. I'm gonna buy this
non-existent
game.
self-worth. But in reality, and though it pains me to say this, the man who made this possible is French. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned.
So is this the usual? Is there anything at the end? I don't want to miss anything. Finn, thank you for watching. That was another great video from Seth, and the game did look fantastic as well. From the art style to the music to the actual gameplay itself, the game actually looks solid. I need to check in with some of my buddies and see if any of them want to check that one out too. I think it's between this game and Company of Heroes for not my favorite video from Seth, but my favorite game that he reviewed. I think it's between those two games so far, because I want to try both of them. And I think I will try both of them. Just not Company of Heroes 2. I'll probably try the third one because I think it's slated to come out later this year. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video with me today. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Drop a comment. Leave some more recommendations or just say what up to me, you know? Shoot the shit. I'm always down to chat with you guys about whatever. And drop a sub if you haven't yet. If you guys want to stay up to date with all my vids, I am back and I'm going to be uploading more frequently again. So expect to see my face a little bit more frequently again. I'm trying to put out a few videos per week as long as I don't get too busy. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys again. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.